Aging Puzzle. I'm your host, Corlette DeVoe. Our Aging Puzzle is all about aging and how it affects all of us. We will have one-on-one conversations with guests from all walks of life that have been impacted by life and aging. Whether they are seniors, middle-aged, or young, we will bring their inspiring stories to you. You will hear heart-wrenching, tear-jerking, and uplifting stories about relevant topics, health issues, and habits to live longer and live better. July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. This month was designated by the U.S. House of Representatives in 2008 to raise awareness of mental illness and to improve access to mental health services and treatments for minorities. Our guest this month is Otero. His story will definitely be a tearjerker and will bring visibility to the struggles of individuals dealing with mental illness. We hope his story will help someone out there get the help they need and will help us all understand mental illness just a little bit more. This is not going to be an easy topic, so grab your box of tissue and curl up on your couch because it is going to be heart-wrenching, but we hope it will help someone out there and their family. Every month, there will be one guest on the show, and that guest will be with us for the entire month. We're going to walk you through their journey week after week. So, the first week, we will talk about the big reveal. How did they hear the news? We will learn about their emotions, how they felt, learning about their diagnosis, and how did their family take the news. Week 2, another interesting fact. We're going to focus on treatment options. My guests will take us through their process to select treatment for their diagnosis, and we're going to share that with you. Week 3, we will hear about their actual treatment. Was it effective? Did they have their side effects? Was it okay? What was it like? We want to know and share everything with you. And week 4, we will hear the outcome of treatment and what happened. How are they doing? And what are they doing differently? So join us every week to hear our guests walk you through their journey. Let's take this ride together week after week as we learn about our guest. Our Aging Puzzle is sponsored by DG Incorporated. DG Incorporated is a marketing and business development powerhouse. DG Incorporated provides business coaching, strategic guidance, marketing, and tactical services to its clients. DG Incorporated helps clients unleash their business potential and growth. Now it's time for aging facts, because remember, we are all aging. According to the World Health Organization, countries face major challenges to ensure that their health and social systems are ready to provide services to care for seniors. And boy, 1 in 6 people in the world today is over the age of 60. And the number of people over 80 will triple between 2020 and 2050. Wow. So all I can say, y'all, is age gracefully. Our topic for this month is mental health in minorities. Mental health includes our emotion, psychological, and social well-being, and it affects how we think, feel, and act. Mental health helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Mental health is important at every stage of our life, whether you're young or older. Straight throughout life, it's important, guys. If you are experiencing symptoms of mental illness, you are not alone. Millions of people in this country are affected by mental illness every year. In 2021, 22.8% of U.S. adults experienced mental illness. That's approximately 57.8 people, 1 in 5 adults. Let's look at the annual prevalence of mental illness among minority adults in the United States by demographic groups. 16.7% of Asians experience mental illness. 21.4% of African Americans, 20.7% of Hispanics, 26.6% of American Indian, mixed, multiracial, 34.9%, lesbian, gay, and bisexual, 50.2% have experienced mental illness based on those demographics. These challenges with mental illness have a ripple effect on our families, our community, and our world. So if you are experiencing mental illness or know someone who is, have them call the suicide hotline at 988 or visit the website at 988lifeline.org. Our guest today is Al Otero. Al is an experienced entrepreneur and leader in the development and operations of chambers of commerce, sales, marketing, and business development. He is the co-founder and president of the Global Trade Chamber and the 100 Successful Women in Business Network. Al is an international speaker, coach trainer, advisor to entrepreneurs from many cultures, nations, and minority groups. Al is the bomb. He has served the business community for 20 years and has served on numerous boards, including the executive board of the Florida State Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Broward County Government Diversity Advisory Council. And he has received several recognitions, including Lifetime Achievement Award presented by President Joe Biden. He has also received the Hispanic Business Leaders Award in Broward County, the Hispanic Achievers Award, and the Top Hispanic Leaders Award in Broward County. And that is just to name a few. So as you can tell, Al Otero is a well-respected and highly accomplished man. But his personal story is going to captivate you and break your heart. Al is the father of 5 children. He will share his story of mental illness experienced by his son, David, and how his family dealt with this illness. Stay with us throughout the month, guys, because Al's story of how mental illness impacted his family is going to be a tear-jerker. Welcome to the show, Al. We are so happy to have Al with us. Our guest today is Al Otero. Thank you so much for joining us today, Al, and sharing your story about mental illness in your family.
Thank you for having me, Colette. We're so proud that you're doing this show for the community.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And we want to hear your story about your son. We know that your son had mental illness. And so today we want to learn about what symptoms he had that necessitated you taking him to the doctor to be evaluated for mental illness. Tell us what those symptoms were and why did you take him to the doctor?
Well, at the beginning, David was having a lot of problems at school. So we had people at the school evaluate him, and they said it was ADD.
Right, yes.
So he was slow to catch on and pay attention, so he couldn't concentrate very well.
Okay.
So the first thing they recommended, as they always do because we have 5 children, was drugs. So it was a real challenge for us to accept the fact that we had to put him on drugs.
Right.
So that was how it all started.
Okay.
Him being problems at school, not paying attention, getting into trouble. They tried the drugs, but it wasn't having much impact.
Okay.
And as time went on, as he went up through the grades and got into, he was very smart, and he was very artistic. He loved to write and draw.
Wow.
So he was not the technical type or the math type. He was the other side of the equation, which was, so he had problems with math, things like that,
Right.
and he didn't like school.
Okay.
So the public school system really didn't know how to handle it. And the fact that he was Hispanic when he came here, at around 11 years old, he obviously didn't speak any English, so we had to put him into a school where he had to adapt to an English-speaking school being Hispanic.
Right.
And they didn't have the systems to help at that time. Now they do,
Okay.
to teach him English and to help him adapt to the English and American lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So that was about 36 years ago. So you can imagine
Right.
how the school was dealing with it. So he went through the grades. He picked up the English very fast because he was so sharp. And then as he went through the public school system, through junior high and through high school, he started getting into really bad company and friends, which he started doing a lot of drugs. And as time went on, he got into some very heavy drugs.
Okay.
So then became a whole different approach. So we started taking him to doctors, to counselors. We got to a point after high school where we actually had to take him to drug rehab centers
Okay.
because he
This
was
after high school.
overdosing. Yeah.
Okay.
So he started overdosing after high school,
Okay.
and he couldn't adapt to life.
Right.
So we took him to some school recommended counselors and therapists. So the whole process of therapy started.
Okay.
Went to drug treatment centers, he finished, and then after a while he would go back.
Right. Okay. Wow. You know, that's a lot of information you shared, Al, and I'm sure there are people out there that have family members, friends, or children that are experiencing similar things as Al and his family experienced with David. Al, you know, I want to take us back to what you said earlier about symptoms and behavior, because everything starts with behavior. That is a trigger, right?
Absolutely.
And so, what are some of the things that David would do that you felt was not appropriate? Share, just walk us through that. What are some of the things? Because it's important for us to share with our audience. What are some of the things that you're referring to? Because they may be experiencing those things as well. So share with us some of those.
Well, there's obviously the fact that he kept to himself. He was in his room all the time, and he would go out at night. We didn't know where he was. He couldn't find him. He would drink a lot, and drugs. We could tell that he was doing drugs.
Okay.
So his behavior was rebellious. The number one thing was rebellion. So, taking him on vacations was a challenge because he did not adapt. And we took him on a vacation, for example, to Miami Beach.
Right.
And we went to this nice hotel, and he disappeared. And the hotel security brought him to us because he was on the roof throwing eggs at the people on the sidewalk.
Right. Okay.
Well,
Yikes.
So he would do very rebellious things.
Okay.
And then as it went on, he was driving, and then one time, probably he was 25, 26, he actually got into a car accident. He was going fast, and he went right into the back of a bus. So he went under the bus.
Was he on drugs when this happened?
Yeah.
So the drugs that you're referring to, are these prescribed drugs?
None of them.
Are these,
prescribed.
okay.
No.
You
Illegal
said
drugs.
They were illegal drugs, okay.
Illegal drugs.
And so let's go back to the first time he started taking drugs. The first time you mentioned when he went to see the doctor, they assessed him and they diagnosed him with ADD.
Correct.
And so his mental illness was ADD that they diagnosed many years ago.
Yes, that was his, the beginning, but what exploded everything was the illegal drugs.
So the drugs that he was taking, the prescription drugs, you said they did not help.
That did not help
They
his
did not
ADD.
help
So
his
he started doing drugs because of illegal drugs because he was hanging around the wrong people. So it was a combination of illegal drugs and the fact that he had ADD. We don't know how bad it was because everybody they diagnose with drugs at the schools, they can't keep up with the school.
Right,
That was the solution back then.
right.
Even with my oldest now, all my kids were diagnosed with ADD because they didn't want to help him, treat him to do better at school. So that was the school's way out of not having to deal with helping the kids.
Wow, wow. It seems this experience was not a good one.
No.
And I can imagine there are family and individuals out there that are going through mental illness, and it's not easy, and it's a struggle. But we do know that there's help out there, and I think that your story that you're sharing today is going to help, and we hope at least one person out there, this story is going to help. So we know that he was diagnosed with ADD, the drugs didn't work, the legal drugs didn't work, then he went to the illegal drugs, and
Yes.
the illegal drugs exacerbated his behaviors. His behavior became worse as a result of using illegal drugs. And do you think the fact that he was using illegal drugs possibly was because of the ADD and the mental illness?
And because he couldn't cope, because he wanted to do what he wanted, he didn't want to do what was required at the school, like math, things to graduate from school. So he was against all, he was very rebellious.
And did he drop out of school or did he graduate?
He dropped out, but then he went to get his certificate,
GED?
GED.
Okay.
So he got his GED, and he started. We brought him to learn some technical skills like air condition repair. So he went to Sheridan.
Right.
We could teach him technical skills, and he was started with it, and then he didn't finish because he didn't like it. So trying to get him focused.
Right.
And then eventually he graduated from Broward College, which was huge for him to do that through all the challenges that we were going through. He could have killed himself in the accident, so he almost lost a leg.
Oh, wow.
So they were going to amputate the leg after the accident. My wife said no. So she made sure that they put bolts in pieces of metal to
Yes.
put the leg back together because they were going to amputate it. Everything's the quick solution. So my wife was at the hospital every day making sure that everything was done, but he left the hospital with bolts and
Yes.
metal things, and then they came back. Were they able to save his life?
Wow. And this
And
accident,
then they put him on, guess what? More drugs to
and he
deal with
was
the
already
pain.
struggling
He was already struggling
with drugs, and they gave him more drugs.
Yeah.
You know,
Painkillers that were addictive.
yes. Yes.
So
You
it was
know,
quite the road.
I can feel, the pain. Let's talk about, we talked about the symptoms, his behavior. Let's talk about the emotions that your family went through, and how did it impact you, your family, your other children, your wife? How did his behavior impact your family?
Well, the worst thing was that he was trying to live a separate life within the house. So he had his own room, and he had everything in his room, and he started listening to the really hard rock. It's all about violence and cutting and everything. So he started a band to do that rock and roll, which was just crazy rock and roll. So he wore chains, he got tattoos everywhere. So it just kept deteriorating. We were trying to keep the other boys away from that influence, but he was living in there.
Wow. Okay.
So it was a miracle that the kids did not pick up on his bad habits and all the bad things he was doing, rebellion. And he did so many things that were just crazy.
How did you feel watching your son do these things? And tell me, how did your wife feel during this time, and your other children? They were watching this.
They were.
How How do they feel? What were some of your family discussions about David and his behavior?
Some of obviously the challenge of how it impacted the whole family, the frustration, the anger, the hopelessness because you don't know what to do. You take him to counseling, and then nothing helped. So we took him to a lot of Christian counselors, and because we took all the other kids to church every Sunday, they kind of kept a little more on the straight. But sometimes we'd go out with him, and then he would take him places to go drinking or something. So we had to manage that balance that we didn't throw him out of the house. He got to a point that he decided he couldn't live there anymore because we had rules and he didn't want to follow the rules.
Okay.
So that was a challenge. But that helped the other kids not be so close to that influence.
Right. You know, this is very difficult because I know that we know the prevalence of mental illness is very high in this country and in societies around the world. And there are a number of people out there, many people going through exactly what you're going through. You know, from experiencing this with your son or your children, and from a family perspective, having to manage that and having to manage those emotions because it's not easy.
Yes.
You know, so it is. I can only imagine, and I really appreciate you being here.
And the drugs destroyed his stomach, so he had to go to the hospital constantly because he was with stomach pain. So emergency rooms many times. So my wife was there, I was taking him, but obviously being the mother, she had to be there no matter what. But the nights and everything, sometimes they would call us and say, your son's in the hospital. And he even actually went to jail a few times because he was out of control and they arrested him.
Right.
So that was a whole different set of circumstances that affected his life because with a record, very difficult to get a job.
Absolutely.
And it was like a miracle that they took him into Broward College with a record, but he made it. He made it to college, but it was a battle, constant battle for a long time.
Wow. You know, there's so many emotions that you're talking about here, Al, and you know, I want to spend time talking about those emotions. That's what this episode is about, talking about the emotions and talking about how you guys felt learning the diagnosis. You know, the first time you took your son to drug rehab, what did that feel like when you left him there and you walked away? What did you tell us?
Well,
about
the
that?
first thing you feel when something like that happens is that you're a failure as a parent. You have failed. And we felt that many times because every time we tried to move it forward, he came back to the same habits. And he used to smoke. Thank God he stopped smoking at some point, but it was non-stop. It was a battle, a constant battle for many years.
That is, that's heart-wrenching. You know, I'm a parent and I can only imagine what it would feel like to take my child to a drug rehab and leave them there and hope with the hope that he's going to come back feeling better and doing better.
Yes.
Mental illness is not an easy thing. It's very challenging. But there's hope out there, right, Al?
Yes, absolutely.
There's hope.
You never lose hope.
Never lose hope.
So
Your family didn't lose hope, huh?
No, we never lost hope. Especially, like you said, leaving him in the jail because he could only visit once a day or something, and leaving him in the jail, we didn't know if he was going to get killed in the jail or if he was going to come out of jail.
Wow.
So it was a roller coaster that was mostly down and up. So that's the process through his high schooling, going into college. He was starting to focus more.
Wow. This is tough.
Very tough.
This is tough. Tough, but not impossible. Tough, yes, but there's hope. I appreciate you sharing your story about your son's diagnosis with mental illness and how your family felt and his behavior, and also sharing your time with us and the emotions. I know this is not easy just to talk about. We do thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Mental illness is not easy, but there's help and there's hope. So if you or anyone you know is experiencing mental illness, there's hope. We appreciate our guest, Otero, sharing his story. So stay with us for the next 3 weeks to hear from Al. Let's talk about habits to live longer and live better. We recommend doing 4 things. 1, proper diet. In order to reduce the risk of conditions like high blood pressure, heart disease, it is important to have a balanced diet that includes a variety of fruits and vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. Number 2, guys, you gotta have a regular exercise routine. As we get older, it's normal to lose your energy. It does not mean that you need to be a couch potato, guys. So get off your couch, walk, run, dance. It's going to make you feel so much better. 3, reduce stress. Come on, there are stress management strategies that you can try. One of them is to remove the source of stress. So, bye-bye stress, see you later, I'm out of here. Number 4, socialization. Bingo, bingo, bingo! You can have a blast playing bingo and hanging out with your friends and family. So go ahead, try it, and have fun. Doing these things will have a positive effect on your life and well-being, and will help you live longer and live better. So to learn more about mental illness, visit National Alliance on Mental Illness at NAMI.org. To learn more about our sponsor, DG Incorporated, we encourage you to visit their website at devogroup.com or follow them on LinkedIn at DG Incorporated. We also invite you to watch our show, Our Aging Puzzle, every Friday at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel at Our Aging Puzzle. Next week, guys, we're going to talk with Al about the treatment options that are available and was available to his son to help him with his mental illness. This has been a tear-jerking show today with our guest, Al Otero. Remember, mental health, disease in minorities and in anyone is challenging, but there's hope. There's hope for you, there's hope for your family member, there's hope for your friends. So if you or anyone that you know suffering from mental illness, we encourage you to call 988 or visit them at 988lifeline.org to get help for mental illness. It's been a great show today. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Carlette with Our Aging Puzzle. We will see you next week.